Sure.
May I say something?
Yes.
Well, sure. I think that's the main point, because it's really important to find out where your strength is. You can say, for example, I studied industrial design. I never worked as a designer. And I realized this at the end of my studies, and I didn't want to go into this field. And I think that's the most important thing. And when you find out where your interest is, where your strength is, then you will be successful. And it doesn't matter if you study marketing. When now I'm working in the marketing department, and I think I'm quite successful. But it's good. It's based on my studies, and it's really important that everybody knows where I come from. And I think for a designer, it's very unusual to go this way, but this is what makes me successful now. And you have to find out your way.
But I think there is research done which shows you, which confirms what you just said. But I think confirms that my generation has changed career 5 times. Because I started as a chemist. I'm a chemical engineer. My first study. Then I studied fine arts. Right. I have a long history of fine arts career with work in museum. So I think then I studied design. So that is a pathway which is even in the future more typical, because we know exactly that the future generations will change at least 7 or 8 times.
It's the same thing. It's about strengths,
right.
About what you are interested in. And
exactly.
I think everybody has to find its way in it, and you get developed. Your person will change, and you will find your way.
Being half American, and I studied in America as well. And this debate does not exist in the US, let me tell you. So you have people working as anchormen on ABC networks. They studied religion, okay? So I think what they look is, okay, you got your credits, you did your BI, okay, go show me what you can do. So I think it's really a thing which has to do with our European way of thinking.
Can I add something? Very interesting study was in the last weeks was published, because Munich University had been doing some research with other university in China about the so-called dual education system, eine Lehre machen in Germany, how successful it is. And it was very interesting, I have to say. Everybody has to read it. But what came out is very interesting. It's very successful if you are young. So the unemployment rate is very low compared to other countries. For instance, compared to US and so forth. The German system is very successful. But now, very big surprise. If you look, when these people are old and 55, 75% are unemployed. It's a scandal what they found out. So the German dual education system, and this is a very interesting aspect, is very unsuccessful in the long term. I tell you, when I read it, and you know all the story we tell each other here in Germany, that the German dual system, right, going directly in a company, it works well for the company in the first years. But I tell you, studying and have a broad base where you maybe that you are able to shift in the future is one of the better systems. So China will not take the German model. This is one of the results.
I just want to return back to the question. When I started to my studies here, I actually didn't have an idea in which field I want to go. And the best part is that you have these 4 semesters and you have the 4 different design projects. So you can just focus, for example, once at the media design part, then at the service design. And I don't know, at the end you will know definitely where you're best at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a personal advice. This is personal advice. Is very good. Is there another question, or shall we round up here?
I have one more question.
Okay, last one.
I want to come back to your answer you gave me before. That was yours. Me? Yes. The notion of you have to be good in telling stories and convincing people. So you have to be good in, I don't know, so the graphical aspect and the narrative aspect of that part. And my question is quite short. If you come to business people running companies and you come with really nice graphics, do they take you serious?
No.
How do you know that?
Do you come only with graphics, or do you also have other things accompanying that graphics?
Well, you would have some numbers maybe accompanying
So
if you bring them, they're there.
there's one thing that the service design community always says, and they never listen to themselves. They say service design is a transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary, field. They always say that. Any text about service design, you'll read that. But they never make it true. My experience has been, when you do service design and you want to deliver the best case possible, then you will have a business person in the room, and he will crunch the numbers. He will crunch the numbers in a way that you cannot do. He will predict the outcomes after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years, how to build a company, how to outsource things. You don't want to learn that. If you want to learn that, well, I don't know. Maybe you want to learn that. But to bring the whole picture, you need so many more disciplines, right? I haven't in the last 3 years worked in a project with only designers. Normally, I'm working in projects with technologists, strategists, programmers, all kinds of different designers, managers, right?
So the answer would be, so if you solve this problem of credibility with the co-designing aspect you bring into the projects, by just not doing it yourself, bringing in people into the process, you sort of get your realistic and credible data.
There's an interesting second part to that. If you go and you put forward numbers and you put forward models and business models and so on, those might be really good to make the point in the first place. But what's going to convince an organization to invest more and to make those business models, make iterations on that business model and so, is going to be the artifact you leave behind. I myself had this experience. I worked for Volkswagen, and I did a service blueprint and a business model, and we had business people and so on. And 3 years later, someone calls us at Frog Design from Audi, right? And they say, "Oh, we saw this movie you made. We're really interested." They never saw the service blueprint. They never saw the business model I came up with or the research documents I wrote, right? But there was this stupid, badly animated 4-minute movie, right, that just made it across the company. And to my point earlier, when you get people to experience what you're talking about, you can really rally them behind it. You can get all the departments in an organization to say, we want to do this. We feel like this is the right way to go, and that's why we're going to invest people and money and time into it. That's my rep.
I couldn't agree more.
I just wanted to add something at the end, because I wanted to come back to what you said about authenticity. For me, authenticity is the big umbrella to create good products, good services. At the end of the day, we have to create real, proper value. And I think, for example, the app system or so works really well because there's no bullshitting, there's a simple service and it provides the service I expect. And this is the true value I get out of this. And if you think a little bit more philosophical, if you look into authenticity, you will find out that authenticity is about creating value for the whole society, that everybody has a task in our society to add value to the society. So I think for brands and companies, this is the big umbrella in the future, and I couldn't agree more with what you said.
Thank you. I think now you will have a very authentic small drink, and you are all invited.
Thank you.